Hey, Troy Broussard here, and you probably haven't heard of me. I'm one of those guys that's kind of more behind the scenes guy, and if you have, it's probably through my association or partnership with Ben Settle, or perhaps in my previous former life in marketing automation, where I did a lot in that space for many, many years. But what you may not know about me is my background is in the military, in the Navy. This is my sub that I was on for a short time, but I didn't do a lot of time in the military, very little in fact, and so I don't want to overstate that. But the training in the background was as a nuke submariner. And so I come to you as probably the the most worst example you could come up with for somebody to talk about writing copy. And I do that because I wanted to break down some of the myths about being a copywriter. First of all, I would never claim to be a copywriter. I'm not. And I apologize. I was going to go out and take you for a walk here, and usually in sunny Florida, it's nice. But today, well, today it's raining, so I'm just going to stay here out of the rain and we'll do it the old school way. But what I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that you don't have to feel like copywriting is so difficult, or that you're naturally maybe bad at it and want to get better, but it just doesn't feel like it's the right thing for you. Let me tell you, I have done extremely well with my writing, and yet I'm really not a great writer, and I'm certainly not a copywriter. I haven't studied copywriting, but how do you get there? Well, you just follow a simple process and a simple system, and just, wash, rinse, and repeat. One of the things that, as somebody that would be standing watch overlooking nuclear reactors on a sub, right? Like, you don't want to be reinventing the wheel. You don't want to be getting too creative. You want to stay within a known, determined process, right? That's what it's all about. You don't want surprises. Well, when it came to writing, it really took me a while to get that same kind of concept. I thought that I had to be so creative. I would try so hard to be so clever and so, to have the perfect subject line and split test 14 subjects and all of those things. And what I really came to realize is that I was just missing the boat. That copywriting was important, but I could overshadow it. I could achieve better results than some of the best copywriters possibly could, even with my own list. Why? Because I could focus on building the relationship instead. And so that's really kind of what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. The approach that I've done for this is something that's so simple that anybody can do it. And you don't have to have a background in nuclear engineering to be successful at it. So don't even trip, all right? This is the simplest thing in the world. And when I tell you how simple it is, most of you who have probably bought and purchased and studied a lot of different copywriting products are going to be like, duh, Troy, duh. Yeah, we all know that. Yeah, maybe you do. And I'll reveal it here in a second. And before I do, though, I want you to realize it's not about knowing. Results are not about what you know. You don't get paid for your knowledge. A soldier doesn't get paid for his knowledge of how to break down a gun and how to march effectively and how to shoot a target properly. He doesn't get paid for that. He gets paid for results. And he gets paid for results when the pressure is on, right? And so I want to encourage you that while this may not sound super sexy, it probably isn't. You get paid for results. And the way you get results is through massive, massive iteration. I say this as somebody that, as a partner with Ben Settle, practices daily email. And I have several different software companies that I run. And I have emails going, not daily in all of them. As software companies, it's not necessarily the place, but in my marketing company, absolutely, and then multiple emails per week from my software companies as well. So I'm sending out a lot of email. And here's the thing, all that email takes a lot of iteration. It takes a lot of discipline and iteration. So I want you to just embrace that, because if you realize that it doesn't have to be super sexy, and that you don't have to be the most brilliant copywriter or the cleverest subject line writer in the world in order to have massive success in your life and in your business, if you can just master the skill of discipline. All right? I always tell people in my coaching clients that there's really only 2 skills that you need to learn to be massively successful in life and in anything. I don't care if you want to be an MMA fighter and are studying jiu-jitsu, or if you want to be a TikTok influencer. These 2 skills are all you need. You need, one, to develop the discipline of focus, right? Learning how to become focused, learning how to carve out focus time, put things out of your mind and stay the track, stay the course, stay focused on what you're doing. And the second thing is, you need the discipline to be consistent at it. Focus and discipline. That's it. That's all you really need to accomplish anything in any business. Focus and discipline. And if you learn to be relentless and tenacious in both of those pursuits, then everything starts to fall in line. Because as you get more and more disciplined in your behavior and your actions, well, then guess what happens? As a byproduct of that, you naturally increase your iterations over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and go until you become proficient. And then you pass proficient and you become, hyper effective, right? And that comes from the iteration. You don't have to be the best copywriter to be highly effective with your list. I have a very small list, and yet it outperforms lists 20 times larger than mine frequently. I don't do much affiliate marketing, but every now and then when I do something in that arena, people are always amazed at how many sales I can get from such a tiny little list. I've launched multiple 6-figure launches with less than 200 people on a subset of my list. And I've done that multiple times now. It's not a fluke. It's not something that happens once, right? I've done it, I've repeated it, I've done it consistently. Now, my list is bigger than that, but that's a segment of my list that I use, and for certain types of offers. One of the things that I'm very careful about is not ever breaking the trust that I worked so hard to build with my people. And so frequently when I have an offer that I know is not going to appeal to the vast majority of my list, I will only take it to a really small subset that I know is interested, that I know is hyper interested, and I know that it's a really good connection and fit. And so in this way, I use a lot of tagging and sublists and things like that so that I can cull out some of those sublists for particular offers, okay? The real thing that I want you to get behind that, though, is not that you have to get uber sophisticated with tagging and sublists and all that. That's not what I want you to hear. The point that I really want you to grasp out of that reference is that I'm leveraging my knowledge and relationship with my list, and that I don't abuse that under any circumstance. I may email a lot, I may email frequently, I may email aggressively, but I email what makes sense for my list and nothing more. My list trusts me empirically, and because of that, I don't have to try to be so clever. I can instead fall back on the relationship. All right, so what's the formula? What's the approach? It's uber simplistic. And before you kind of point that out and say, oh yeah, we all know that, da-da-da-da-da, well, again, it's not knowing, it's doing. Are you actually doing it? I do this with coaching clients all the time, and Ben and I have done this on numerous calls where people know about the power of daily email, but then you ask how many are actually doing it, and it's just a small subset. So knowing is clearly not enough, right? And so what I focus on is an approach that allows anybody to master the art of email over time. And this is the way you do it, okay? The first thing that you do is you tell a story. It's the same formula every time. My emails are consistently the same approach over and over and over again. I call it story selling, okay? But I'm using a story and then a pivot and then a pitch and then repeating. Story, pivot, pitch, repeat. Simple formula. Really, really simple formula. The most critical part of it is the last part, repeat. See, here's the problem. Most people will simply not do it. They will think that, the solution, the answer to their problems is to become a better copywriter, or to buy this course, or to go to this event and hang out with XYZ guru who's the best in the world at direct copy, or whatever story is floating around up there, okay? And I'm here to tell you it's absolutely, completely ridiculous. This is the delusion. And it's the delusion that you buy into willingly, telling yourself that you don't have enough to be successful at it right now. And I'm here to tell you, as someone that's made millions multiple times in my life and lost it twice, lost everything twice and had to start over again. I've had to start over from zero or less than zero 3 times in my life, and I've done it. And I can tell you that the one thing that you really need is that confidence to be able to trust yourself and to know that if you can just stay focused and maintain the discipline of daily consistency, that in time you will master the art of email. And even if email is not your objective, even if your objective is to write sales pages and this and that, well, guess what? You've still got to persuade people to hire you. You've still got to build up your email list so you can sell products and trainings or your services or hire yourself out as a freelancer, whatever that is. You still have to earn that right. And the way you earn that right is through selling. And the way that you sell, the easiest way to sell, is through building a relationship with your client base and your potential client base. This is accomplished through email. So, pick out great stories in your life. Tell some great experiences and stories. Tell them in a way that makes it fun and interesting and people get entertained by it. Draw them in with that. Let them get to know you and relate to you. And then go through the pivot. So I'm not going to go into story selling. Most people understand what that is. There's all kinds of books and teachings about it. But in the end, it comes down to a pretty simple thing. Pick a story and put it down into words and make it compelling and interesting and fun and entertaining. All right. Then we go into the pivot. Now the pivot, people really like to overcomplicate the living hell out of this. I don't know what it is with entrepreneurs. They really enjoy overcomplicating simple things. So please don't do that. Sometimes the more you know, the worse it hurts you. And the people that just on blind faith just follow instructions and go out and do it are the people I like the best, because they get the most results, because they don't overthink things and they don't let their knowledge get in the way of flexing their action muscles. All right, so you got to flex some action muscles a little bit. You got to amp up the action and disengage the brain a little bit and just let it go. So when you do a pivot, it's really, really simple. All you do is find one little connective tissue, one little connective point that allows you to associate the story to the product or the offer or the pitch that you're making. That's it. And you just do a simple little transition, right? And I do that in every single email I write. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to justify it, okay? This is the part that entrepreneurs really struggle with on the pivot is, it can be totally obtuse. It could be and I don't know what that really has to do with today's offer, but here it is. It just was on my mind and I thought that would make sense. And boom, and you switch in. That's lame, yes, I know. But the content and the story is what brought somebody in. Now that's not a great pitch or a great pivot, and I'm not suggesting you use one that lame. Find a connecting point if you can, but I'm saying I have sold products with no connecting point whatsoever many, many times through a really good story. Okay, I told a story in email one time, all true, about how California, the state of California, was coming after me for taxes for a company I had shut down 12 years ago, and it was just ridiculous. And I just went into it was like, man, it was like a gut-wrenching rant that just had you so angry for all the drama that I had to put up with in this thing. And you went through that whole story. And then I sold a product that had nothing to do with taxes, nothing to do with any of that. I just made a simple little, abrupt pivot and then into the pitch. And that's it. Now, here again, the pitch. I don't overcomplicate this, and I don't try to sell in the pitch. So this is something that is kind of hard for me in a way because I'm a natural salesman. That's kind of what I do. I've done a lot of phone sales in the past, a lot of high-end stuff, did a bunch of high-end subdivisions and selling multi-million-dollar deals. I did some negotiations with AOL Time Warner in the past many years ago when I was in the .com era. I've done a lot of negotiations and sales, and I'm pretty good at sales, right? So I kind of tend to fall back into that salesy mindset, but that actually hurts you in an email if you try to sell it too hard. In fact, when my numbers drop every now and then, I have to remind myself, and I go back and look at a few of my emails, I'm like, I was overselling it. So when you switch to the pitch, just make it really simple. Like for me, a lot of times it's like, here's where you snag your latest copy, but get it before tomorrow because the deadline is 24 hours on this offer. And then I drop the link and that's it. Like it doesn't have to be over thought out at all. What you want to really do is build the reputation up over the discipline and the consistency of doing this over and over and over and over again. That's where you earn the trust. That's where you build the relationship. And the relationship is what is going to make the sale. Now, I've talked to some of the world's best copywriters. And when you get them in a back door, quiet, maybe after a couple of margaritas and the evenings mellowing out, and they just talk to you one-on-one without the stage, they'll all tell you the same thing. They know it, I know it, and I've had multiple of them tell me the same thing. About 60% of the sale is made before the person ever hits the sales page. Think about that for a minute. 60, maybe 65% of the sale is in the relationship and the trust that you've built up with people before they ever hit your sales page. Now, if you don't believe that, I want to tell you it's really easy to statistically prove this. Take a great offer that you've got that's working really well, that you've run to your list, you've got great results from your warm list, and then go take that same offer and put it in front of cold traffic and see what happens. It'll probably lay an egg, probably a goose egg 0 in sales. And you look at that and you say, well, what's going wrong? And this is where people get really over analytical and screw this up trying to think their way out of this situation. They think that, oh, I've got to get better in my targeting. Let me try this other demographic. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do the other. And what they don't realize is there's a massive difference in cold traffic and your warm list. So if that's the case, then your effort, I'm not saying don't go out and get cold traffic. Yes, you should do that. But your real effort, the real area that you should be spending your time on is developing that trust and rapport, building that relationship with your list. And that you do through the daily, consistent email. Email makes everything else easier. Get good at story selling, get good at connecting with your audience, telling good stories and putting good offers in front of them, and watch your sales just go through the roof. Be consistent at it and watch your sales go through the roof. But it's not about knowledge. The system is simple. Story, pivot, pitch, repeat. Couldn't be any simpler than that, right? Now, a lot of people try to get it all clever and complicated and say, well, Troy, I really need a great hook on the email subject line, and I've been told I need to use preview text and all of this stuff. I don't split test my subject lines. I don't write 50 subject lines. I am in production mode. Production mode. And that's why I put out so much content, is because I can write an email in 3 to 5 minutes and move on to the next one. I move fast and I don't overthink it, because I know that I can leverage the relationship of my list over anything else. If I miss a day on a daily email because I'm sick or because I was traveling or something happened and I missed it, I get people emailing, hey, are you okay? Didn't get an email. I checked spam, nothing went there. I didn't get it in my inbox. Is something going on? Haven't heard from you today, Troy. What's up? Why? Because of the relationship with the list. So that's it. I know it's very simple, right? It's very simple. Don't confuse simple with easy. This is a construct that a lot of people have a difficulty with. They think that because something is simple, that makes it easy. It's simple to write an email every day. It's not necessarily easy to get into the habit and the discipline of doing it every day without fail. That takes discipline. And that's what I said, that the only 2 skills you really need to build are focus and discipline. You build those and everything else will just fall into place. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to learn more, or if you want to see some of my software products, etc., the best one to go check out is berserkermail.com. That's Berserker, BERSERKER, mail.com. And you'll see that I really do practice what I preach. We are famous for the fact that we get email delivered in your inbox, and we do it so fast that it really makes email great again. All right, to borrow a campaign slogan, make email great again. Our goal is to make it so fast and easy for you to write your email that you'll enjoy it and that you'll do it, and you won't spend 30, 40 minutes futzing around with the interface and 48 clicks and everything. So that's what BerskerMail is all about. It's an email marketing platform by marketers for marketers, in partnership with myself and Ben Settle and some other great people. So please check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this content. Take care.